Um, so I've been rereading a lot of Constantine's book, Systema Manual, and just getting further and further ideas about some of the stuff that maybe you know, but that you'd never had a proper explanation of it, and then also how to maybe understand tomorrow when somebody punch kicks or grabs you, kind of the methodology and the perspective that you want to adopt when you're facing these things, right? So last night's class, I studied grabs. I showed the guys how to deal with grabs, but in a way, I haven't done it before. And I'll try to explain it with you guys, and you'll have to visualize a little bit and then apply it, right? Because you can't like grab yourself. It's kind of weird, right? It just doesn't really work the same, right? But in many ways, I think we can accomplish a lot if I explain some stuff. So let me know how it goes. Let me know how you like it, okay? I don't know. Like I said, sometimes there's a physical effort where we're sweating, and then other times there's like our mind is working, right? There's like a sweatless practice, right? And I've learned a lot from just listening to great teachers talk or doing their classes. One or the other is very good, right? So understand there's like micro events. There's like many different types of love, right? Like there's love for this, love for that, love for a person, love for a thing, and many degrees in between that, right? And the same with a grab. When somebody grabs you at a very low level, we're talking about somebody you don't know. So forget about training partners. Somebody grabs you and it's one thing, but when somebody touches you that you don't know, it's like a low level reaction. It's not like you're going to punch them right in the face. And you need to kind of study that. Now, I studied this because I did a little bit of bodyguard work, not a whole lot I can say, but I did enough of it to understand some stuff. Because when you have to touch a client to protect them, so in other words, you're not supposed to touch clients. They're usually either wealthy people or influential people or superstars or whatever they are. In some cases, they'll be celebrities, and they're okay with being touched because fans do that. But it's not okay if they're wearing something that is barely held on with tape. Then you cannot, like some of the, we did some bodyguards with some famous actresses, and their dresses are literally taped on. They're barely hanging on, okay? Like if you try touch them, the whole dress will fall apart. They'll be in more trouble than you could imagine, right? So I was just explaining some stuff about grabs. So when you understand grabs, don't only understand it like I'm being grabbed in a bad way. What if you needed to grab somebody in a good way? What if it was, a teacher that sees a kid about to hurt themselves, they need to grab them to pull them to safety, or a bodyguard having to move a client to a place that's safe, right? Or something coming towards you that you just want to grab and move away, but have no further connection with, right? Just recently, I was out at a buffet, and a friend of mine went to grab something off my plate, and I just grabbed his arm and moved it away. Don't touch my food on my plate. It could be things like that, right? So if you could imagine when people grab you, that low level dislike that you won't have. It might not be a big one, but it's a low level dislike that you respond to no matter what. So I had students in class yesterday grab each other and just pay attention to the direction and also their feeling of it, right? When people grab you. Depending on the person, it's good or bad. Obviously those things matter, right? But the biggest thing that you want to take on a grab is that at first when somebody touches you, that you ask yourself, how did I feel about that? Okay, what is my feeling about that? And I have many vivid memories of whether it's Michael or Constantine asking me about how I feel about something right away. And I didn't have any recollection about it, right? And then I saw Constantine write about it in his book, Understanding What You Felt About That, okay? And it's very similar, I think, to handshakes when we meet people. When you get that first impression of the person, how did you feel about that person? What was their impression? It wasn't just their words or their mannerisms, but it could all be how they felt, right? So, and after they did that, I had them follow, when they got grabbed, that they follow the initial or they sense the direction, because nobody just grabs you like that. They're either pushing or they're pulling or they're doing something, right? And you want to just follow that for just a brief moment. And the reason is the person that's touching you might not necessarily be hurting you. They might actually be trying to help you or trying to decipher that, right? Have some of you, I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with somebody who's been either kind of abused or something like this. They've gone through some trauma. If you simply touch them, they react as if you're hurting them, because that's how they're, that's how they've reacted, right? So it's very interesting. You can tell right away by that initial reaction how good you are with the past stuff that's happened to you, right? So you follow the direction, and it can be very mild direction, but you follow it, okay? You follow that direction and do nothing more other than say, I can sense direction. So I've been touched. There's a pressure on my body that's pulling me this way, that way, this way, right? And you follow it just for maybe like a step or a brief moment, right? So you agree with it initially, just initially. And then the progression led to, then you change that direction. So I will follow you for one step, but then I'm going to make my own step. So I go one way and then I do something. I don't pull my arm out. It's like, if you pulled me left, you have me, I'm just going to change my position. And this is interesting because if you ever watch wrestling sports or grabbing, they usually, one arm is the anchor, and then that second arm coming in is really the problem, right? So for a boxer, it's not the jab, but it's that next hand or the third hand that's coming in that's problematic. So by moving a different way, I become unpredictable for the person that I've just grabbed. Does that make sense? So they grab one, but then I've changed to a position they didn't expect. I don't have that second grab. Does that make, is that clear, guys? So it looks something like this. If I'm pulled this way, I'll make a step, but then I change my position. So if I'm pulled backwards, I move back, but then I change my position. So it's like, it's very subtle. So I'll move one way and then I move my way. I move one way and then I move my way, right? And what that does is it puts the control a little bit back in my court, okay? A little bit back in my court, okay? And because I did follow, but I also changed it a little bit. Can everybody follow me? I don't know if I can bring much, because without a partner, this will be difficult, but I still want you to understand that. So tomorrow when you're training and somebody grabs you, back of the neck, the arm, the elbow, the shoulder, follow the movement very briefly. And this is an important step not to forget, okay? Because if you don't, that means you're dealing with some stuff in the past a little bit. Because guys, if you are totally fine, like if you ever, like Oleg comes to some of the kids classes I teach here, and when we move kids around, they have no resistance at all. They're totally fine. If I pull them, they come. They don't have any resistance. So follow.
Unless they have some issues that we can't even touch them.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is what's interesting is that we're looking for these markers back and forth in our training, right? And so you follow it and then you change it a little bit to what you're doing, right? That makes the work a little bit different, okay? Now, I'll give you some homework as well. This works really good if you're dealing with a person that starts talking about a topic that you don't like. So there could be, there's some, you ever been out, like we got Thanksgiving coming up, right? So you're going to get everybody at the house coming up and somebody's going to start talking about something like, man, guys, my father-in-law, heaven forbid you start talking about anything political. You better figure out how to change that topic quickly, okay? Otherwise it's going to go down a wrong road, So I'm serious, like you have to know how to pivot really good. Like you go down one road and it's wrong. You better pivot quick, right? And learning how to change. So somebody starts talking about something and then going down that road and then changing it right away. Like really changing it about something else. This is also a real good gift, right? I don't know if any of you are managers or you've had to manage people I've had this role for many years before, but then also taking care of people here as well is very similar. You'll find when you tell somebody something they don't want to hear, they will also change it like that. So you will talk about something and they'll also switch it. I mean, guys, I've been in meetings where we had to fire people, and it's clear night and day they stole something. We have it on camera. They stole a computer. You can't steal from the company. It's pretty straightforward, right? You're probably going to get fired for that, right? And it's well documented, but somehow they blame you. Somehow it was your fault. Well, you left the computer there. You didn't lock it up. It's I have to lock up your computer. Like, it's amazing to watch. And but on the reverse side, on a more serious note, like, I mean, not firing is pretty serious, but when you deal with people that are addicts or they're addicted to something, you will see how they will change and have excuses come up for the stuff they have. So they'll have a behavior like a gambling problem, and how they twist it to seem like they don't have a problem or that everything is fine. It's very convincing. They really have, they really have their excuses lined up for their vice. So somebody that's hard-headed will have all the excuses why they're hard-headed. They'll have them all ready. They know they're well planned, right? It's really planned. So we have to make sure that we catch our own self first. When people grab me, and if I right away pull off a move, like something that is extreme, that means I'm dealing with some stuff. Maybe I wasn't as clean as I thought I was, right? So when tomorrow when you come training, people grab you, at the beginning, just follow them for a brief moment. So if somebody's giving me a headlock, I'll escape, but I follow it for a moment, like they were taking me down. So I go down a little bit, right? And then I change it to something I want to do before I even attempt a takedown. So I'm attempting a takedown from my position, my position of advantage. Does that make sense, guys? Is that really clearing through?
Yes.
Before you think of it, your chances of succeeding in something are far better if it came from something you originated it, you did it, right? It's so important. Guys, you look at a sports team, they hire a new coach, almost instantly the new coach will assign his own assistant coaches. He'll try to get rid of everybody. He wants to put his people in place. If he doesn't want to deal with other stuff because it's not his own making, it's within his control. When I initiate something, whether it's a punch or a kick, if I move out of the way, I put myself in my position, not the position you decided to put me in. So I move like this, I fix myself, and then I take you down. I don't try from these awkward positions that somebody else put me in to try to be successful. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
So tomorrow when people grab you, at the initial, so your step will be first how you feel about the grab, and that a lot of things will dictate that. And then follow it for a moment and change your position to something you like. And then if you so feel, try to facilitate a takedown or something from that position if you like, from a position of strength and a position of your own what you want to do. Yes, Oleg? You want to say something?
Yeah, I think the only thing that's worth thinking about as an analogy is that it's no different in conversations, particularly negotiations. When you sometimes have an exchange with somebody who's clearly looking to, or who's attacking or feels attacked, there's much greater value in sort of empathizing with the position, even if it's just for the matter of opening the conversation broader than it is sort of returning the attack, even though you have all the right arguments to return that attack. Hence why your analogy of, having to fire somebody so obvious. So the grab being really just an analogy for any exchange in any relationship. That's what comes to mind.
Of course, guys. I just want you to be aware of how people love to shift stuff around, right? Like you can change it. There's the good and the bad part of it. So it's definitely something to think about, right? Because we want to get past this idea of understanding something as a technical knowledge, like a technical proficiency. Like in Constantine's book, he really stressed the idea of like, okay, these are components or skill sets. But a lot of people don't, like a lot of people, Jake spent a lot of time working out at gyms, maybe more than me because you're older. But I think you can agree that when I look at people working out at a gym, many of them are not really they're not really addressing the reason why they're there. They're stressed, and they're stressing themselves to fatigue. They're not really addressing the problem at hand. The people don't want to change how they eat, so they go work out to burn off calories, but they don't want to change how they eat, which is the main reason, right? Their problem. So really, when we come to class, we want to make sure that the reasons we're there are clear, right? That we want to understand how to be efficient, and we understand how to completely read a situation proper, not misunderstand it, but truly understand how to clarity with each situation. I want as clean a response to that situation as I possibly can make, right? Yeah, Jake.
Oleg and I have talked about this a lot, about as you get older in the gym, how you change the way that you work out and the way that you think.
Yep.
Because you have to. You can't do at my age as I could do at 25. I find when I'm at a gym now, a lot of people will come and talk to you because they like to see an old guy that can still work out. You have to explain to them that you have to grow as you get older. And I tell them about Systema too, how that helps me do different things. And I don't do anything, like Oleg and I have talked about this, when you want to bench press a house. Then why did I want to bench press that house in the first place? All it did was cause me injury. So you change, yeah.
But you never had somebody ask you the question, why are you doing that? Like, you see why, like, see when the person grabs you, why, what, like, how did this make me feel? When you bench press, even now to this day, if I start lifting a heavy weight, you know what I think about? I'm like, right away, I'm like, you can feel your ego. Like, you can feel it starts to become, I can eat. How could you miss that? How did I miss that? Right? How did I miss that? Right? So I had a friend with this problem one time. He asked me to come to the gym to work out with him. Right? And I knew his mind was back in the 80s. So I dressed myself exactly like the 80s guys. I swear to God, I showed up there with like a Run DMC. I had the shorts. I had the funny pants. I goes, what are you doing? He goes, you look ridiculous. I said, but your thinking is exactly what I'm wearing. You see it? So I'm 50 years old. Can you imagine if I dressed in what I was like at 16? People would think I was nuts. They would say, if I wear tight pants, a sweater, and grew all my long hair out, people would be like, you're nuts. What is wrong with you? Right? Because you're not that age, right? Why would you? Have you ever seen, I mean, guys, I can tell you, it's absolutely, I can remember like it was yesterday. When I turned 19, 20, I was starting to really dress nice, right? And my dad, oddly enough, because the style back then was a little baggy, and my dad was a little bit heavier than me. So he used to go, when him and my mother would go out, he used to walk into my closet, put on my shirts, okay? Go put my cologne on, okay? He used to smell, because he's never smelled, never looked so good. He used to go out. I go, Dad, you look ridiculous. He goes, oh, I'm so in style now. He goes, I feel so in style. I go, his friends would bug him because you're wearing a manual shirt again. He goes, I feel style, and it would look ridiculous, but he loved it, right? But you see how many of our thinking is still back in that. How ridiculous is that, right? Our thinking should be upgraded by now, right? We should know a little bit better with what we do, right? So, okay, let me just progress. I don't want to get sidetracked. Tell us some funny stories, but. So now the higher level. So now we're not even at the higher. Right now we're talking about a person grabs me. How do I feel about it? I follow the movement for a second. I change my position because I want to take care of any plan you have and also get control of the situation again, right? I want to regain control of the situation. That's where everyone starts. That's your base level. Where it gets interesting is now you have understanding. And this is what everyone saw yesterday, right? So when somebody goes to grab me, because I understand this now, I don't pull my arm away. I move it back a little bit so that they're reaching. So now I want you to reach. That's my main thing. Now I want you to reach for me. Okay? So now all of a sudden you're coming towards me and I move my hand a little bit. You're still going to get me. I'm still.
I keep saying potato.
For a second. So as I'm being grabbed, I wait, but I pull it away. So I'm not being, I'm still going to get grabbed, but I'm moving it away. My head's still going to get grabbed, but I move it away. And what I've done now is I've locked you, I burdened you, but gave you what you wanted. Okay, I somehow gave you what you wanted, right? Guys, this is amazing to see somebody. Have you ever have a friend who somehow, we call it a compromise, but somehow you don't feel like you got anything out of it? It's like, I got my grab where I wanted, but I moved away. So now I'm stretched out. I'm really stretched out. And I can't tell you how many arts out there exist to stretch you out. As soon as they give you what you want. So how many times a boxer, you ever seen the boxers? They put that jab out there and they just put it at the edge and you're reaching for it. You're reaching to get the person. The moment you reach, that's when you're finished because your head is exposed and a knockout is going to come. Okay. The really good boxers I've ever seen, the Sugar Ray Leonards, Muhammad Ali's, they always made their opponents reach. They just knew how to just stay out of that, to get them leaning, to get them desire, ego, and then they're susceptible to some sort of a knockout. Okay. But not necessarily escaping completely. I'm not trying to be untouchable. I don't want to be untouchable. If you're going to grab me, I'll use what you just did. There's no difference. I mean, guys, is there any difference? If I grab somebody's arm or they grab my arm, is there any difference? We're just connected. There's no real difference. Honestly, and if I had a choice, I would sooner you grab me.
Yes.
Like, think about that. So, but how many times when you guys get grabbed, when you're getting grabbed in training, how many of you say that, so amazing? So you realize you're not that happy with it. You feel a little bit of anxiety or rush. Like, I've got to do something now. You don't have to do anything. There's nothing you have to do. Other than just know that you got grabbed and make the person stretched out. So that's what's so awkward, I think, that when you watch myself work and you watch people following, you're like, how did he do that? I stretched the person out by a couple of inches, just a little bit. They're locked. And I followed the direction, okay? So that drill at the very beginning that I did in class yesterday, where I had people just move on contact, like they felt the pressure and they moved, right? Now I'm stretching you out, I'm letting you grab me, and I'm moving. You see the difference? It's so subtle. It's really, really subtle. And it's something that I hope as you guys go to class tomorrow when you're training, that you follow that exact protocol. You allow people to grab you, you see how you feel, you sense the direction that they're trying to take you, you follow it for a step or a moment, and then you change your direction. And then when you understand what they're doing, you make them reach for everything they're going to get. So you can grab me, but you're going to be reaching for everything that you're going to get right now. Every single thing. Okay? And you're only going to even attempt to take down from those positions. Questions at all, guys? So there was ask me, I know it's a lot of talking, but nonetheless it's an important topic. Constantine emphasized in his book a lot this idea of the deep grab is not where you want to start training from. That is not the place where we start, okay? We don't start like a deep grab. Deep grab is a very difficult place to understand grabs, okay? It's not a good place to understand much, okay? It's like saying, I want to understand myself on the operating table. It's probably not the best place to do this, okay? It's probably better you spend some time before that, right? Now, that doesn't mean you ignore deep grabs. You can have them, but they are a little bit of a different animal, okay? So can you keep that in mind? Start your training with grabs, not from a deep grab or a heavy grab. Study it from a little bit more of a sensitive place, okay? And the same goes true when you're grabbing people, right? Understand when they're making you reach, okay? When people are making you reach, has anybody ever had that happen with a handshake? So had people that used to kind of, yeah, you're laughing, or you know what I mean, right? It's very noticeable when they're making you reach, right? A good handshake is supposed to be in the middle, right? Not like this, not like that. Right? It's supposed to be straight out, and it's a quick decision of the middle ground that we're in. It's not more here or more there. It's right in the middle, okay? And when people don't do that, it's very interesting, right? To me, it's like, you come to me, right? Kind of an idea. If the hand is on top, it's like, I'm somehow better. If it's below, it's like, I somehow not as good, right? If there's a clap on the hand, so it's like there's a handshake and then there's a clap, it's not an endearing term. It's like, I'm in control. I'm the guy here. right? I'm the person that's in control. So these are dominant things, right? And you can watch it on the world stage. Watch gestures on a world stage and watch how they interact. They're very true. Studied them a lot. How people perceive them is a different thing, but they do mean what they mean. Okay, so think about that with a grab. A grab is a handshake, and it's telling you a lot about the person. How they grab you, the way they grab you, dictates a lot about them as much as a handshake. So you got to never forget that when you're experiencing a grab, right? It will tell you more about the person than you can think. Well, look, I don't know if you had a question. You look like you had a question.
I have a question, a comment. I think they go hand in hand. The question is really, how do you train the sensitivity outside of Systema? And the comment is that I find this very applicable to little children. I've got a little guy, and it's very interesting how much maneuvering him and helping him, learn how to walk or climb there's a lot of Systema in it, because any jerky, rough movement throws him off and doesn't build confidence. Whereas giving him, this confident place to hold on to gives him exactly that. But there are the times when he's trying to climb the stairs, which he's already starting to climb, when, you as an adult get freaked out. So you kind of grab onto him and that freaks him out. So back to the question, which is, how do you develop the sensitivity outside of Systema?
About to deal with grabs.
Not to deal with grabs, but to deal with any response situation, really.
So you gotta deal it. You gotta kind of embrace it. It's like somebody says, do I go give myself a problem? I said, don't do that. Life's going to give you a lot of problems already, and you have enough to deal with. Like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to go looking for trouble. It's kind of coming for you, so to speak, whenever it comes, right? But to understand that whenever somebody touches me, and this goes in real life, whenever somebody touches me, how I respond to that makes a big deal to me. Like, I try to understand, what was I thinking when that happened, right?
Yep.
I also love to scare people, like I do a lot with my kids, right? Like, I jump up on them, right? I scare, and I watch their responses, right? Or I'll grab them really quick and watch what they do in their response, right? And when I touch something, I try to make it very tactical, like, meaning, like, I try to feel that thing, like everything. Like, you ever seen, like, your little boy, right? How he's touching stuff, he's trying to feel it, right? He's trying to understand what it is. We can do that as well. Like, when I grab somebody's arm, it's like, I'm not ever just grabbing their arm. I'm trying to feel what's going on here. I'm trying to.
Let me try and maybe, I don't want to take this over here, but let me just try and make sure you understand the question. The question is that sometimes I'm far more able to respond in a effective way than other times when it's unexpected and it just comes out of nowhere. So the question is, how do you train the sensitivity so that the response is more consistently effective?
It's more the mental thing. I think, remember the mental training stuff we were doing where you really clear the mind? It's really connected to the mind, right? It's like, and we can do a little now if you like. It's just, you don't need to lie down. You can just stay where you are now. And you guys need to visualize these things happening to you. So if I'm sitting here right now, right? And I've got my eyes open, but I'm in my head. My eyeballs are rolled back into my head. And I'm saying to myself, okay, so somebody grabs me in the arm, and I think about that for a moment, and I try to, okay, so how would I feel about that? Or if somebody grabbed me, what would that be? How would I be like, right? What would that be like? So it would look something like this if you guys want to try it standing up, you can try it if you like, right? But so I stay still, and you can imagine somebody grabbing your arm, right? And kind of moving it forward, right? So it's like somebody's pulling your arm forward, right? So, and then when they move it forward, you take a step. So somebody pulled me backwards and I made a step. So it's really a visualization exercise, right? But just from standing, imagine somebody pulling your arm left and right? And at first, don't do anything. Just let the arm come out. And then let the arm come out and take a step. And then let the arm come out, take a step, and change a direction in a totally different direction. So visualization exercises are, like these are very much like, the boxers, they're training in front of the mirror, right? There's nothing there. It's just a mirror, right? It's very similar. Like you're practicing, the boxer's practicing how he feels the person will be, right? It's mostly a visualization exercise, right? So imagine somebody pulling your arm, just allow them to pull it, and then pull your arm, take a step in that direction, and then pull your arm, take a step in the direction, and then make your own direction. And you see how there's, guys, you feel it. I don't know I hope you can all hear me. You see how there is absolutely no, not emotional, there's no emotion, there's nothing. It's just you visualizing, right? But you can be like this when people actually grab you. You can be so separate from this thing. It can be just exactly what you're practicing right now, right? So try to visualize now the person grabbing you from the back of the neck, like the wrestlers do, right? They kind of grab your neck, right? So at the beginning, move forward, right? But before you do that, maybe ask yourself, when somebody grabs you by the back of the neck, how would you feel about this? Right? It's interesting because different than your arm. The back of the neck, people tense up a little bit, right? So you want to make sure that you think about that and then follow the direction a little bit. It's just mostly a visualization stuff, right? Imagine a person grabs you, you move forward. And then move forward and then change the direction, which is exactly what I would do. If somebody grabbed me in the back of the neck, I would move forward and then change my direction. That way they don't grab with the second hand, because I guarantee you a good wrestler is grabbing the back of your head and he's going to grab the back of your leg or your arm quick. And you got to not let those anchors or hooks get in place. Now, stay there for a second, right? So now visualize a little bit. The person's starting to grab your arm, okay? But just before they get there, take a step back. Move it, like make them reach. Visualize making somebody reach. Just a little bit. That can only be 2-3 inches. It's enough. Like suck them in. Make them, if they want to get your arm, you're fine with it. But it's at your decision and at your discretion. You don't just give it up for nothing. Right? You take a step back, you suck them in. You want to grab my head? No problem, but I'm coming back. Right? So you start to visualize making the person stretch, making them reach for this thing. Try it, guys. I know it seems kind of awkward, but it really is some of the best way to practice, right? A lot of athletes do this. They visualize the movements they want to do, right? It's not just for boxing. It's not just for other sports. We have it as well. Visualize the way the person will grab your arm and how you'll make them reach. Make them reach. Don't make them just grab your arm. Make them grab it at a burden. If you ever want to see these drills really highlighted, just watch like some Aikido. You'll see a lot of Aikido. There's a lot of leading. The instructor is like making the student follow him or lead him around. And you realize that the student is a complete slave to that now because they can't break it. They're reaching. They're constantly reaching for it, right? So movements look, they're like this, right? You see that they're very loopy. They're come get my arm, come get my arm, right? If you watch even Michael Ryabko's work, you'll see a lot of this. Like he makes people reach a lot, right? Not a lot, but he makes people reach. And that is where they're locked up. This is the beauty. So the body is in motion. The body's in motion and you're constantly know what the person wants. You're not avoiding it. You're making them reach to get it. That's all. You're making them reach to get it. Good. Come close for a sec, guys. So, yeah, again, this stuff's not planned out by me. I'm trying to just get you to a place I was at yesterday, which was really nice. The beauty of making somebody reach is not in that fact, okay? If I make you reach for my arm, what comes naturally is my next arm. Like it comes natural, right? So if I have my arms out, if you push me here, natural is this. I don't really care about this. This is coming, right? So when somebody's reaching for me, they're open for the counter, much like boxing. The boxer wants to put himself at the distance because he wants to counter. He wants to do something with you, right? So stand up for a second. Stand up for a second, right? Hold your arms kind of like outstretched like that, right? So move one arm away and allow the other arm to come forward, right? Allow it to kind of come. So as somebody reaches, so Alberto, if I'm trying to grab your left arm, you move that away slowly. No, too fast. Because you don't want to be untouchable. You don't mind being grabbed. You want to use it. Like, and the other hand should come like instantly. So when people grab you, you put yourself at a distance or make them stretch so that you can come to them in a different angle, right? You come at them in a completely different angle. So Oleg, if I'm grabbing that right arm, yeah, but even slower with the arm as you escape because you want to hide that other one that comes towards me. Yeah, the mistake people make with this work is they rush a little bit. Don't rush. That arm is going to come at the same speed you pull it back. For those of you that did the karate, right, back in the day, they used to emphasize this, right? Yeah, they emphasize the push-pull. When I grab that arm, you're pulling me, but the other hand is coming towards me. It's not just defensive. I love this work of sucking a person in because it's very offensive. It's not offense-minded. It's not defense-minded. It is much more with offense. Try to visualize, guys. Visualize that partner, somebody grabbing your arm, you pulling it just out of the way, and then allow that other arm to just sneak in undetected completely to the person. Alberto, you have a question, man? I'll just unmute you here.
Okay. Now, more or less like that, as I'm doing, you give the hand, remove it a little bit, the other comes, sneak.
But just remember, you don't want to, you want them to get it. You want them to get it. You don't remove it from them. You want them to grab the arm because if they don't grab the arm, it changes. So you need to just put it just enough, you know?
Just enough, and the other one sneaks.
It sneaks in. It sneaks in calmly from a different angle. It's really at a completely different angle on you, okay? Coming from the same. Remember, this is tactical, guys. Okay, good. Come around for a sec, guys. So when I played, I'll give you some analogies that might help, and some of you that have played some contact sports will understand. When I was playing rugby when I was younger, I used to just go forward hard. That was the way, you just went forward like a bull forward. And then the first time I saw somebody make people miss Like they would change the speed and go left and right, and people couldn't even grab them. They had such an understanding of, they used what the desire of the person wanting to tackle them or tackle them against them. They actually used it against them, right? The person wants to grab you. They have a desire to grab you. Keep the desire. You can use it against them. Don't get rid of this desire. Don't hammer through it. Don't try to change the desire. Move it just enough that they still have it, and now you can come from the other side. It's a really interesting way of working because it's a way of hiding your skills. Not a lot of people see that you have as many skills, right? So it's like I give you half of what you wanted, but not everything. And I'm going to use that because it's a value.
Oh, yeah.
It's a value. I'm going to use this, right? Listen, guys, I don't know if you ever have neighbors like this. They just don't throw anything out because they know they can use some of it. They will not. Or some people throw everything out. Yeah, I know. Like,
I do it.
I'm telling you, like on one level, when somebody's coming at me or attacks me, in my mind, I'm not thinking bad things. I'm thinking, who is this person and what are they telling me about what they're doing right now? And then how can I use this against them or to help them understand who they are? Like a really good partner is somebody that reflects who you are back to you. Does that make sense? It kind of like, so as I'm being grabbed, I'm not trying to say, who am I? I'm trying to show that person who they are. Okay. Does it make sense? So there was a year period there when I started teaching the kids class where the classes would overlap. So kids were finishing, adults were coming in. And sometimes I would take an adult that came in into the program, and I would turn and I would point to a kid and I said, do you know that that's probably who you were as a kid? And then the other times I would take the parent and I would take the parent, I turn, I go, you see that adult right there? That's who your kid's going to grow up to be. And that would scare some parents. That would scare some parents. Honestly,
right.
I had one parent turn to me and said, really? Like, truly, really? I said, yes. And they were like, that kid changed completely after that. Because you don't understand, like, what a way of being will lead you, where that will go, right? You get good at connecting dots. So I like to reflect people, what they do to me, back onto them, right? So if they're calm and I reflect that back. I try to reflect that back, right? If they're not, I try to reflect that back as well. This is pretty powerful stuff, right? Because you're not fighting anymore. You're understanding. And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, right? And I tell you right now, fighting is very low level. Understanding is so much more complex, okay? And the guys that I'm looking at right now on this computer are people that understand really well. And I want you to use that. Don't dumb yourself down to fighting. Fighting is good for certain things, but you want to be a person that understands. When somebody grabs me, I want to understand that person and I want to understand myself. If I'm going to react in a certain way, it's under my complete control. I did this for what reason? Why did I do this? Did I just take them down to make myself happy? How many more guys do I need to take down to make happy? I don't know. How much more confidence do I need to build in myself? There comes a point where you're like, I got it. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. What I want is that measure of what's happening to me and do what I absolutely need to do at that given moment. Right? If it's a kind word, it's a kind word. If it's a hit, it's a hit. Yesterday, guys, I whipped everybody. I should say I whipped everybody like nobody's business. They didn't know who they were. Okay, they were so much pain. And then guess what? After that, everybody responded to grabs perfectly. I'm telling you, there is something. The mind was clear right now. The mind was completely clear. Okay. So stand up now. Stand up now. We'll do a different with a similar idea, right? So don't do anything, then stay still, okay? Imagine somebody now or visualize somebody smashing you in the chest, okay? It can be like that. It can be one, I don't care. Don't do anything. Just ask yourself how you feel about getting hit in the chest. So that's the first place. You say, how do you feel about it?
Move.
Don't move. Just ask yourself how you feel. Don't do anything physical. Don't do, just, it's purely a feeling. And now say, okay, now what about the face? How do you feel about that now? Right? You don't have to answer the question. Just put it out there. Try not to move at all, guys. You're just, now, how about a punch to the groin now? I visualize the guy punch you straight and see how you feel about that now. And what you realize is that each one of these places is a different, it brings a different feeling. So it has nothing to do with the strike. It is where you're being struck that means a lot. Imagine how the person's striking you towards the back. Visualize now the person hitting you or punching you towards the back of the head. And without, just see how, and ask the question, how I feel about this. You know, in the back of the head, I feel almost betrayed. It's like when somebody hits me in the back, you feel like, you know, like it was like an ambush. It was like a dirty, you know, punch in the face. I get it. It's personal. A punch in the groin, that's like a line, that's like crossing a line by a meter, not by an inch, right? What about the neck? How'd you feel punching the neck? That right away, that would elicit a different type of feeling, right? I don't feel, you know, that would be different, right? And now just leave that, just stay still now. So again, imagine now the strike towards, let's say, your chest, okay? And start the movement from how you feel, because you have nothing to see. So you visualize the person, two hands smashing you towards the chest, right? And I don't know, move how you feel. Yeah, move how you feel. But the same in the back, boom, you get hit in the back, right? Don't move by what you see, but how would you feel and move like that? Don't think of answering back or giving a response at all or anything like this, right? Awesome, guys. So understand is that the more you do this, your mind will start to become quite clear about it. Okay. Now, instead of visualizing right now, maybe you don't have that, but for me, I'm visualizing the class I just taught last night and the people I saw just last night. If you're going to do visualization exercises like this, it's good to remember maybe a class you just did, like maybe a partner you just had. It's very clear to remember them, right? It can be a good partner, it could be a bad partner, it could be one that, you know, what's interesting about bad partners is they have more to teach us than the good partners, right? Believe it or not. They actually have a lot to teach us because we don't like what they did and it bothers us. And when it bothers us, we have emotion, we have something. So I have some good memories of shots in the chest that I've taken, the ones that will never leave me in the years in training, like really heavy shots. And when I think about how they made me feel, that's a different type of feeling that comes to me. So you need to give this stuff some girth, right? What's amazing is I've been punched in the face quite a few times in my life, whether it's in a fight or in training, but I've never been punched in the face much like Michael punches me in the face. I've never been punched so hard in the face without an anger. It's never felt personal whatsoever. It was really interesting. The way, when you decide to strike or when you strike, you're basically communicating something that you're feeling, right? So when people fight, it's basically, I guess, a verbal communication that's failed, and now we're resorting to a physical, right? It's like, what do they say about war? It's like it's a negotiation, but on a different level, right? So when your trick is, how can you hit somebody very hard in the face or do that without making them feel like it's personal? Because your face is personal, right? This is your identity. This is your fingerprint of your being. When you hit somebody in the face, it's super personal. And if you're tense or you're angry, then that person will reciprocate that. Okay, your trick is, how can I punch somebody and not make them punch me back? And I'll tell you a true story, guys. And really, there's a couple of people at the club that can validate this. Not students, but parents of students that saw me in a real fight. There was a lot of people on me, and nobody could punch me, but one guy smashed me across the jaw like nobody's business. It wasn't a big hit, but it hit me right across the chin. And in the middle of the fight, I looked at the person and realized it was a young boy, maybe 20 years old at most. And he caught me good. I didn't think he had the courage to do it. I was surrounded. I didn't think he was going to throw a punch, but he threw a punch and it caught me. And I looked at him, and in that exact moment, I could appreciate what he did. I wasn't even mad at him. He was so scared when he couldn't believe that he hit me because I was moving from everything. And I didn't believe he was going to throw the punch. When he caught me in the jaw, the first thing that came to my mind was not anger. First thing that came to my mind was, I guess it's a big fight, and I guess I should at least get one punch in the face. I can imagine not getting punched out of this whole thing. Really, that's exactly what came to my mind. I'm not joking. I didn't have any anger to this because the person that threw it was scared. He wasn't scared of me. He was scared himself. I didn't have any anger to it at all. I had anger to all these other people that weren't hurting me because they were trying to hurt me. He wasn't really trying to hurt me. Even though he hit me, he wasn't trying to hurt me. I could feel that, right? I don't know, will you guys be able to develop that sensitivity? The way I did it was I let a lot of people touch my face, push me. Touch my face, push me. And until, don't do it to yourself, Roberto, I'll do it when I see you. And I said to myself, how do I feel about this? And I feel okay. So, and because of that, I understand now when people touch me, how I feel by how they touched, okay? And I'm gonna cover this off in the Thursday class that I teach here about how to deal with contact to the face, right? A lot of time, people would just place their fist on my face, push me away. Place their fist on my face, push me away. And I got the idea, the sensitivity of how that comes to the face, right? The same thing with the grabs that I'm trying to show you. How do I feel? Move. Change your position. So it takes a long time, right? So stand up again, stand up again. So now, visualize the punch to the chest, but this time, take a half a step back, suck the person in. Just suck them in, just a little bit. Now visualize, look behind you, visualize a punch to the back and take a half a step forward. Just suck the strike, so make them pull in, make them reach in. Same from left and right. So now you're still visualizing a strike is coming towards you and pull away a little bit. Not much, you're still gonna get touched. Just pull away a little bit, make them reach. Make them reach for it. So now visualize the chest, make a step back and turn. So just like the grabs, make a step, rotate. So now make a second step in your own direction. So visualize the strike to the chest or the back, take a step in that direction, and then change it, make a second step to a different place. So you don't stay in that place. This is important, guys. You never want to be, if there's a second punch coming, you don't want to be in that spot. You want to make sure that you change your position all the time. Yeah, any position is fine, just not in the first one. You want to make a second or a third step at least. Watch me for a sec, guys. Watch me for a sec. Just think, 1, 2, 3. Just make 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. All 3 steps should be different. My first one is back, my second one is here, my third one is here. If you make 3 steps, it's very hard to be touched by the second punch. 3 steps, like almost like a butterfly. Make 1, 2, 3, 3 steps. Awesome, guys. Stop for a sec. Now, you can visualize the same thing with like the knife, right? So knife coming towards your stomach. You follow the direction. 1, 2, 3. The knife comes from the side. Follow the direction. Make 1, 2, 3. Knife from the back. 1, 2, 3. The first step, you follow the direction of the knife poke. The 2 others are yours. 1, 2, 3. That's it, Oleg. That's it. If you need, just poke yourself with your thumb in your stomach. Follow it. 2, 3. Guys, train yourself, guys. You follow the movement all the time, and then you change the direction. Good. Stop where you are now. So now, suck that knife in. You see something coming towards you, you move just perfectly, guys. Like just make the person reach. Visualize. It's the knife strike coming. Visualize. Move away. Suck the person toward. Make them reach with the knife. Make them reach with it. That's it. Make them reach. Yeah, you can pin it, try to visualize it, pin it on your body and make 2 other steps. So the first one you move, pin it on your body, and then 2 additional steps in different directions. Lots of mistakes. People don't take the knife where you got it. Make 2 other steps and then try to remove it. Awesome, guys. Come close for a sec. How is it? How does it feel? Does it feel weird, or are you actually getting some of this stuff?
It feels weird. I think I get the idea, but it is very abstract. So, like moving, there's too much head work. It seems like it needs to be more intuitive, which requires more physical contact.
Yeah, I think but anyway, if nothing else of it today, guys, you at least get some idea of where
Oh yeah.
my headspace is. Like, I practice system at home just because I'm a dedicated student all my life, right? I was looking for ways of practicing, right? And the classes were always so heavily physical that I didn't want to make it more physical, right? Meaning back in that day, maybe not as much now, but the sensitivity stuff comes with time. And I encourage you guys to watch any video footage you can where somebody is sucking somebody in, like a bullfighter comes to mind. If you watch a bullfighter, if any of you like to go fishing and you watch the way you're trying to entice a fish to come out of hiding and bite your hook, right? The way you present that thing is very important. The way the bullfighter presents himself as being vulnerable, as look at me, and then he uses that. When people are angry or they want to grab you or punch you, if you can remain calm, you can use it against them. That desire, that ego, that can be used against them. But when people try this work, they don't have the confidence, or they panic too much when they feel like they got to remove their arm or remove from the punch. So it takes a lot of confidence to work with a grab or work with it as enticing them. It takes a lot of confidence, right? It reminds me of an old story I heard about the old Native Indian warriors. The true test of that, the warriors' growth to manhood, or kind of a different status, is not because the bear was the big predator in the forest for them. It's not killing a bear, but it was actually letting the bear attack you and kill them, not you surprise the bear. So the warrior would stay on the road of a bear, and then the bear would come up to it and he would say, get out of my way. And as the bear would stand up to maul the Native Indian warrior, he would have a spear on the ground. And the moment the bear jumped up, he would reach down and the bear would fall on top of the spear. And that was considered the highest level for them of attaining, because you're able to use the bear's anger against them. You didn't ambush a bear and kill it. That's kind of like a low level. You're now playing the bear's game. In other words, you've transcended this. You're able to entice them in. You're able to use all that bear's strength against him and come out with the kill for the bear. And that was it. And the other story that I heard with them is, when it comes to eagle, it's not actually catching an eagle, it's getting its feather. So imagine how good of a warrior you have to be to pluck a feather off an eagle, right? It's not killing the thing. So both are skills that are very difficult. What I'm asking you to do right now with using a grab or understanding it like this is remain a person, remain an individual when somebody's attacking you. Let them grab you or work with that as an individual. That's a big thing, right? It's not easy, right? Or you can continue just fighting people, and then that's fine too, right? But we're talking about the higher levels of stuff, right? We're talking about stuff I've seen on video, I felt. It's almost like a ghost to me. It's like, it's not ghost, but it's really elusive. And you have to be super focused on what you want out of this. So a lot of people have to attack you or punch you or kick you, and you have to be able to keep yourself as a person. You got to find a way. That's the only way. You got to find a way. You can't get angry or emotional or invested in those ways. Okay. So it's just difficult training, and I hope you guys enjoyed today. It was totally difficult. But at least if nothing else, when you go to training, maybe when people grab you, you'll see it a little different.
Yeah, Manny, just to clarify my point, this is not useless training. It's
No, no.
actually, the visualization cannot be achieved any other way. I get it. I actually, you asked, is it weird? It's definitely weird
I
to
know.
try and move
I
mentally,
feel
but it's
weird.
because I don't practice it enough.
Yeah, I feel weird doing it too, guys. It's so hard because in my mind, it's as clear as I look at you guys. It's that clear in my mind. So, but I want you guys to get this, because if you get it, or if you can manage it, it'll take you to a whole other place, right? Miro, any questions? You're looking at, yeah, say something.
There's a lot coming through my mind, like the analogies with injuries as well, that injuries take you down for a while and then you need to take your own steps, as well as like it's not good to stand up like a mountain. That is not a good idea, that you need to give something to them. It's just, and also the feelings when we were telling about, imagine somebody punching you places, it revived my children memories. So it's kind of, it's like the massage, when you're letting people massage you and you let it enter without hesitation. You can get a lot of background memories and muscle memories, like from children, all these, when you were asking, why are you hurting me? And, but I like the idea of taking the first step in whatever analogy with the pain, like in acceptance, and like saying, yeah, I do accept what you're doing, and now I want to understand, but I still want to move my own way. I'm free. It's like the different types of freedom, and I just need to consume it, because this inner stuff, it takes a while till its roots in the heart. But I think there's a lot of freedom in the words that you were saying.
Good, good. Because I want you to keep your sovereignty over yourself. Like, I want you to be, you are a free person, like really free. And when we're moving away from a grab or a punch, we kind of lose our sovereignty quickly. We use it just for a brief moment, but then we need to get it back. You are still free to do this. So it's very deep work. It's very individual work, very liberating, feels very good. It does not feel aggressive at all. It feels just very honest with what you're doing. So I hope you guys feel it. Alberto, all okay? No, I can't hear you, man. I gotta unmute you. Hold on. You there,
Gotta
Alberto?
remain calm, and that's it.
For you-
Take up the evening. If you argue with somebody, let the guy talk. That's it.
Just for you, remember, if it feels slow, if it feels what you're doing is slow, it's perfect. Okay?
Yeah.
If it feels slow, it's
Take the
perfect.
pictures, yeah.
No, for you. Specifically,
Uh-huh.
make yourself slow. You're missing a lot. You move really well, but you're missing a lot by going by.
I miss a lot. Yeah, I know. I gotta work on it.
You
I'm
move
working up on
well.
that.
Just go slow. Just everything. Next time you come here,
Sure,
you're
yeah.
gonna be calling. You're gonna be doing Sistema Tai Chi.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm too anxious sometimes.
That's it. It just
Anxiety.
you need more whip and massage. You need Sistema Mediterranean. You need
Someone's
Sistema
laughing.
Crete. Thomas, Jake, you're all good?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, guys. Good. Listen. Enjoy it. Play with it. I'll post the class if you want to catch some spots. Believe me, guys. When people do something to you, I want you to find this type of methodology to approach it. Don't approach it like they're an attacker. Maybe they are, but you don't approach it like this, right? Don't approach it. Really keep your sovereignty. You're in much more control than you think. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you enough.
Thank you.
Thanks, May. Thanks,
Good.
guys.
Have a
Nice to see
good
everyone.
one. Talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye.